Howdy all, welcome to your window to rural Thailand here. I'll tell you what we've got going on. We've got Damo's mum building a fence. All on her own. Look at this. Now bear in mind, she's no spring chicken, Damo's mum, but she's been digging this hole all morning. She's been building this fence. She just loves to do this kind of stuff. So let's just take a look from that way. We've got baby Hugo here too. Swai. She says, is it beautiful? I did it. It was a do-it-yourself fence. Baby Hugo.
1, 2, 3, smile.
Yay. Hugo and Yai. She is. She said, Grandma is very strong. And she is very strong. You can clap now, Hugo. So yeah, she's done a great job of this fence. I feel like I'm reporting live here. It's not live though. This is actually recorded. But it's recorded about an hour before I posted it. So I wanted to fill you in on a little bit of a part of my story that I don't think I ever talked about in depth. And it's about, it's been inspired by, I saw a video on like couples, like YouTube couples and families that got caught like making stuff up for the sake of views, and clicks and stuff. They hired some police officers and they pretend they got robbed or something. And it made me think, as a family, as people that's on social media, like how desperate people can be for kind of views and clicks and stuff. It's I think there's a line. I think like you can have some humor. You can obviously make your thumbnails interesting, funny, entertaining, like clickable. You wanna sell the video a little bit. You don't want to be like, oh, boring video in Thailand. Like, no one's gonna click on that. No one's gonna watch it. It's a waste of your time even making it, right? You want to make the video clickable. You want to make it interesting. But the line is crossed when you lie. When you say something's happening when it's not, when you pretend to be somebody who you're not. And that's why I called the channel The Naked Guru in the first place. Because it's like, well, how honest could I really be about stuff? And I'll tell you about living in Thailand so long, and many expats probably do agree on this, in many cases. There's a lot of people that say, oh, it's lie land. It's not Thailand, it's lie land. Thais just lie all the time. And I can tell you that's not something that is uniquely Thai. That's uniquely human. Humans lie. And nowhere is lying more rife than in the expat community, in my opinion, particularly in the bars. Because one thing you can do when you move to Thailand or you move to another country, you have the luxury of just making up a whole new story. And then when you make that story up, sometimes you start to believe it, and it's a story that you tell people and whatnot. And I'm sure you kind of catch my drift. It can be a place of, I've met people sometimes that said, oh, I used to have a big business, I used to do this, I used to do that. And then it turned out that actually it was all just lies. And in my early days in Thailand, I was quite guilty of it also, especially in the pubs and stuff. Maybe not blatant lies and stuff, but exaggerations. I kind of did this, and I was really successful in the UK. In the UK, like, I was a marketing manager for nightclubs. I was relatively, for my age, it was quite a good thing I was doing, but it didn't make me wealthy or anything like that. And I probably did exaggerate it when I first moved to Thailand, because you have this luxury of just making stuff up, and you'll find that many expats do make stuff up, many Thais make stuff up, many humans make stuff up. Sometimes it's in a bad way, like, oh, it's, let me turn you around so you don't have to watch me this whole time. Sometimes you make stuff up, and it goes too far. Sometimes it's just because you want to be liked, or just because you want to impress people, of course, It's just a part of human nature. Although as I've got older, I decided that not to lie is the best way. And that brings me to the topic of today's vlog, and it's how I lost it all. And I did lose it all, guys. Kind of on a number of occasions, but the main occasion is what I'm going to tell you about today. Right, so when I first came over to Thailand, I was a teacher, and then I ended up doing some business with another British entrepreneur, where we did like some English schools, and they were okay, you know, they did well. Damal actually used to run part of them, like she used to do the admin work, issuing work permits for teachers and things like that. And turn you back around just for this part of the story. She used to do like the admin work and paperwork and stuff like that in our office that we had in Hue Hin, and it paid the bills, you know, like it paid the bills. The English schools, we built one in Hue Hin and we built one in Ratchaburi, and they were good days. And I ended up getting excited about, instead of just doing the English schools, I wanted to have a bar in Thailand, which had always been my dream from a very young age. Like even at the age of 13, I always told my family that I wanted a bar on a beach, that was. But next best thing is Hue Hin, and I had a bar. I built the saxophone lounge. I built that bar, and the bar was really successful. We got to #1 TripAdvisor. But this isn't a success story, of course. This is a failure story. And for the first couple of years, everything went really well. But I was on stage every single night, and I was drinking every single night. And then the alcohol got the better of me. I became very, very addicted. This is going to be in my upcoming book, Shaman, as well. And I made a lot of mistakes. Like with the bar, I only served alcohol. I didn't serve food. So we're having all of these people, and we're missing out on all of this revenue on food, which could have really helped keep the bar afloat and pay for the band. And I was performing on stage every night. So I was playing saxophone, I was singing every night, and with the band, and that was 6 days a week. And so that involved drinking every night as well, staying after hours with the customers and drinking with the customers. And when you start drinking, like a serious drinking habit, it's hard then to manage your affairs in life and your business. And actually Damal was quite a rock during all this. She kind of managed the back end, but I was quite irresponsible, and I let the drinking overcome me, you know, and a lot of ego involved. I mean, there were good times, don't get me wrong, they were fantastic times. I met great friends, and we played soul music, and they were some of the best times of my life. But to the later years, which is what I'm discussing in this topic, it got difficult because I couldn't manage my drinking. So one of my biggest mistakes and how I lost it all was I became addicted to alcohol, and everything that we'd invested in and we'd built, and the beautiful lounge that we built and the brand that we built, I lost it all. Because the revenues, สวัสดีครับ
ครับสวัสดีครับ
ครับผมมาทำดินเหรอ
ทำดินจับปลูกมัน
ครับ I said, have you come to do this, doing the soil? He says, yeah, we've come to plant the crops. So this is nice season. Let me just chill out here, see. This is very Thai. Just lay down away from the sun. Very, very Thai. So I made mistakes. I should have saved food. I should have focused more. I should have kept my crap together, you know. And so we lost everything that we'd invested, everything, and not only money, time, all the time, the creativity that gone into it, Damo's hard work. I mean, there was a number of factors. Part of it was the drinking, part of it was the life in general that I just couldn't take much longer, the rock and roll lifestyle, and you know, drinking a bottle of Jack every night and socializing with people till 2 a.m, 3 a.m, sleeping through the day, and then band practice at 1 we'd crack open another Leo, you know. So the body couldn't take it, the mind couldn't take it, and then there was other factors like the low season during that time, like the the issue with the low season coming in, which when the low season hits, it's hard to cover all the costs and things like that. And then there were certain players, you know, like you had to keep everybody happy, and I just couldn't. I couldn't hold it together, and I lost everything. And that is my story of how I lost it all here in Thailand. And the reason I wanted to say this, like, it's because it's easy to present our successes. It's easy to lie and say, oh, you know, I built a jazz lounge and it was perfect and fantastic. No, there was a dark side to the whole story that you can't really ignore. A lot of crazy stuff happens, you know, when you're drunk every night too, and you're an alcoholic. You crash cars, like I crashed my car. I was just out of it most of the time, guys. Like, I was just wasted most of the time. Although on many occasions, you couldn't even tell that I was drunk or that I'd been drinking. You wouldn't even know. And I think it's important, especially like as an expat vlogger on rural Thailand, if I'm going to be like the Naked Guru, I think it's important to tell this stuff and the truth of one's past, one's history. You don't just make stuff up to look good on YouTube. I think that's the wrong way, you know. I think what lessons can be learned from that? Just presenting all of the positive side of oneself and all the good stuff. You got to. I learned a lot through alcoholism. I learned a lot through losing everything, losing my business. It was a good test of our relationship as well, because when I did lose everything, I was getting sober at that time, starting to get sober, and Damo stayed with me through the whole thing. So we lost all of our money, our home, because we lived above the lounge, the car, because I crashed it. We lost everything, and she stayed by me. And then she worked her job at a little cafe in Hua Hin, and for a number of months she paid the rent and looked after us, you know. So it's that went on for quite a while. Like, she could have just left me and said, oh, you know, you're a loser or whatever. But no, she stuck with me at my darkest hour, my darkest moments of life. And then I managed to kick the habit, and there was a story of redemption, I guess, in that I managed to get sober, and then my life started to transform a lot, which is what I'm talking about in my book, Shaman, that's coming up this year. That book is really detailing how I use plant medicines to get sober and how one can. And then I managed to get into the corporate world again from there. You know, started in that industry, working in Thailand and in Bali, and yeah, one thing led to another, and things got back on track, and that was it. But that was my story of how I lost it all. And you'll be surprised sometimes. I have met a lot of people in my life because of what I've done, because I was in hospitality, so I met a lot of, my job was to talk with people. And you'd be surprised sometimes outwardly successful people, where they're showing like how great everything is and how successful they are, often have a lot of struggles underneath, you know. If it's very, very big and successful what they're dealing with, heavy lies the crown. You know, I've met people that own hundreds of hotels and restaurants, and they've got private jets and whatnot, and heavy lies the crown of that. They employ hundreds of thousands of people. And it's not always what you think it would crack up to be, you know, to be a millionaire or a billionaire in their case. And so it's then you also meet other people that have just got small businesses that are struggling to make it work. It's not easy to start your own business and run your own business. And then of course there are just successful people that manage to balance work and life, and they have a business that does well, and the personal life is well. But life can be a struggle, you know. It's not always easy. Everybody has like a cross to bear in different forms. And that's not just in terms of money and business and things like that. Some people's children pass young. Some people are struggling with mental health. Some people are struggling with poverty. So everybody, like in life, even the wealthiest people that I've met in my life, I've found them to my surprise, having problems, similar problems. But I'm going off on a tangent here. I guess I'm saying that life's hard no matter who you are and what you're doing. Everyone's got struggles, and I think maybe YouTube paints a picture that isn't the case. So only showing the positive side of everything on YouTube, I just don't think it's the right way to go. Try and keep a healthy balance on this channel. There's people that love you on YouTube, there's people that hate you on YouTube, but you've just got to be who you really are, you know. I think, some people will say, they'll comment stuff like, I love how honest you are about stuff, and I love like the down to earth of the content. And then on the same video, somebody will post, what a load of boring crap, why don't you try to entertain us more? Like, we don't want to listen to this depressing stuff. So on the same video, you get those kind of polarity of responses. So in the end, you can't go off what you think your subscribers want. You know, you can't be faking break-ins and hiring police to create something that isn't. I mean, you can, and people do, but it's just not what I want to do. I just want to talk about whatever's on my mind, and the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I'm writing this part of the book, and so it's kind of in my mind to discuss some observations that I've had about Thailand and the unique characters that live here, and how often stories can be made up by people, and how I also want to express like my mistakes, my failings, and maybe it can be a lesson to other people, like especially in Thailand. Be very careful getting into the bar business. Be very careful, it can be a minefield. The seasons can wipe you out, you know, if you're drinking as well. Like, I also ran nightclubs in the UK, so I was already deep into my drinking career before I came to Thailand. You know, I was a marketing manager, but once that hooks you, it starts off great because it's a one big party, you know, it's an absolute non-stop party, it's rock and roll. But then if it hooks you, it can destroy everything, especially if you're doing your own business, because there's already so many risks involved in really having your own business. You know, you're registering a company, you're the managing director, you have a certain amount of capital locked in that business, your investments on the line, and you leave a lot of things to chance. If it's a bar, for instance, your location is everything, and you leave a lot to chance. Like, is it going to be a really particularly bad low season, where you struggle to make ends meet then? Of course, some people have fantastic, thriving businesses and great locations, and sometimes it works, but I get the impression, and it's only anecdotal, this is not fact, but I get the impression that most bars and businesses don't work out here in Thailand for foreigners that don't already have a good amount of cash, you know, that they can subsidize it with. And of course there are exceptions, because I have a lot of friends that do guest houses and they have a little restaurant and stuff, and they do very well. So I think as this truck, we've got a truck coming past here. This is this truck is the poop truck that collects the poop, I think. Here he is, come up the road with his missus. Buddy cab. Hey up, that wasn't his missus, I don't think. That wasn't his missus, I think that was a dude. I don't have to watch it back. I think it was a dude. Was it a dude? You guys saw it. It looks like his missus. Maybe it is his missus. So, I mean, shit happens, doesn't it, guys? What's the lesson behind this little talk? Shit happens. That's life. It's like Monopoly. You build it all up and you lose it all, and you build it all up, and there's lose, there's gain, and it's how do you pick yourself up? How do you start again? How do you persist? How do you keep going? How do you stay motivated? How do you accept it as a learning phase? You know, like, I look back now and I'm glad that it happened. I'm glad that I lost my bar and I lost, you know, my business I'm glad it happened, because I would never have moved on to a new phase of life if it hadn't happened. We can often look back on our lives and we can say some of the worst things that happened to us ended up and turned out to be the most important, the best things that happened to us, because we learned so much and it allowed us to move on and evolve. And the way I talk about it in the book is sort of like a miniature death. Who you thought you were dies. It's a little bit like who you were when you're a teenager is gone. You know, if you think back to who you were when you were a teenager, where's that person now? Well, they're gone. They never really existed. It was a construct. And so who I thought I was when I was doing the lounge, and I thought I was Charlie Big Time and a bit of a big shot and stuff. When I lost everything and it all got crumbled, and it pushed me to the edge of not sure if I even wanted to go on and to live. It pushed me deep into my addiction. That was a death. And then whoever's here now, whoever I am now, is not that person anymore. I'm sure you guys in your lives, you have similar experiences, because it's a human experience. It's death and then rebirth, death and rebirth. And you do it enough across time, and I find that I come into deeper levels of peace, deeper levels of maturity, deeper levels of satisfaction with simplicity. You know, for me, it's just kind of, I don't want to build an empire. I just want our little thing, our little cottage with the kids. I want time with my children, time with my wife, you know, to enjoy the nature, to enjoy the beauty, to do the simple things in life that make us happy. I don't want, and I've been offered, guys, trust me, as a YouTuber, I've been offered many prospects across Thailand to be involved with large retreats, multi-million-dollar retreats, to go and work for people at hotels and stuff like that. I'm not blowing my own trumpet, I'm just saying, as part of a YouTuber, you get a lot of people reach out to you from all kinds of crazy places that you wouldn't even expect, like Hollywood being one of them. That is another crazy story for another time. But you get reached out to, and I just don't want it. I don't want it. I just want to keep the simplicity of what we're doing here. And I think through that iterated process of death and rebirth on small and large scales, that's where you come into like a deeper sense of peace. The death is a psychological construct. Because first law of thermodynamics, energy can't be created or destroyed. The matter and the energy is recycled, clearly. So the only thing that's not recycled is the psychology, is the framework and construct of who you think you are. That the dissolution of that's death. The matter and the energy is going to exist forever. You know, over time, who you thought you were, it's like, oh, that's not who I am. I'm something else. Something else, going deeper and deeper into your true identity, which is a shared collective identity, which is what I talk about in the book Shaman. That's what Shaman is all about, actually. It's about discovering that. So yeah, that's my rant, guys, for today, and that's just about, you know, it's about creating fictional stories on YouTube, and how what you see on here, there may be some clickbait from time to time to get you interested, but with my rules for that is, whatever the title is has to be some truth in the video, even if the truth in the video is different to what you thought it would be on the thumbnail. So the truth has to be reflected in the video, and we'll never make up a story that never actually really happened, because I think that's just kind of dangerous to do that. So we'll never make anything up that didn't happen. And I guess the other part of this vlog has just been me openly sharing one of my biggest failures. I've had other failures for sure, and I probably will have more failures in the future, but that was one of my biggest failures, and maybe it can be some warning to people. But more so, it's just about being authentic to the Naked Guru. Well, that's what happened. Started a jazz lounge, I lost it all. Thanks for joining today, guys, and hope you're well.
I know you ain't doing this to yourself. Stop what you're doing and let him go. Pack up all your things when you're finally done. Call me up, sweet mama, we'll run. 'Cause oh, what a way to live a life, living in pain and fear as a wife. I said next time he hurts you, I'll know when. And that time will be the last he ever hurt